How different a person, how different a player are you from development camp, a year in college, and a year away from being drafted?
I think I've, playing college hockey with all the older guys, I think I've gained a lot of maturity in my game. I think I've learned to manage it well and kind of play with the older guys and get a good sense of, what it takes, a little higher level. So I think I'm excited to show everyone here what I've learned.
What did the World Juniors experience mean to your development over the last year?
In terms of representing my country, it was amazing, and having that experience was probably one of the most memorable things in my life. In terms of development, I think being able to play with those kind of players and see the pace and the skill level that it takes at the higher level was something that really impacted my development and something that I took back to BC, and hopefully something I'll look forward to this year again.
What did you take away from last year's camp, and now you kind of know what to expect here, and how do you sort of want to focus the next few days with this staff?
I think, coming here for a second time is great. You're familiar with all the faces and how they run things. So, I'm just excited to get on the ice and again, extend my relationships with the people here and become more comfortable with the staff and all the players. So,
is your positioning, anything changed after a year of college hockey? Have you changed in any way from the kid that came out of St. Louis just a year ago?
I think I've just, not so much big changes. I think smaller things, just expanding on my game and trying to take little details of my game that I can make better. And I think Mike Ayres has done a great job in helping me do that. And again, being here with Steve Briere and Coach Greco is great to have those guys and those resources help you.
As a freshman, it's very rare for a goalie to step into a college program and play the bulk of the games as you did this year. What do you think allowed you to have such success in your first year of college hockey?
I think from the start I stepped into a good situation at Boston College, and they have an amazing staff and history there. And I think the summer before I really worked hard to make sure I was ready to carry a load. I knew what I expected out of myself and the goals that I set for the season. So I think working hard in the summer and having experience at the national team, already playing against college players, really helped me to step into that scenario.
How much do you study the nuances that go with goaltending, like working on head trajectory, the reverse VH, all that stuff that comes with it? Are you constantly learning, like even when you're not playing, to kind of just get whatever edge you can to cover up as much of the net as you can?
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about goaltending is it's constantly evolving, and there's always new techniques and new things that you can use in your game. And I think having the resources that I've been fortunate to have with the Toronto Maple Leafs coaches, and then at Boston College, and even back to the U.S. program, I think they do a great job of staying on top of that and helping me learn those things. And then again, through practice and video, I think it really helps you work on those details.
Did you exceed your own expectations going into your freshman year?
I don't know about exceed. I think I did a good job of matching the goals that I had for the year. I wanted to make sure I was playing the games and being someone my team could trust, and then obviously making the World Juniors was a big thing of last year. And I think going into this year, I want to make sure that I can set myself up and solidify being one of the best goalies in college hockey. I think that's a goal I have for myself, and I'm excited for this year, going back to Boston College and working again towards the World Juniors. So there's certain goals I have, and I'm excited to hopefully set them.
JVR said going to Northeastern was tough for him as a road building because they're right on top of him. What was the toughest road building for you when you're looking back on that freshman year?
It's a tough one. Just things that are getting in the way. You're saying,
or you and everything.
I think there is a lot of pressure playing at Boston College with it being such an historically good hockey team. So I think, especially with Thatcher Demko just leaving, it's pretty big shoes to fill. But I think the biggest thing is not focusing on the shoes you're filling, but making your own story and setting your own impact on Boston College. I think that was a big thing freshman year.
Is it fair to say that the starting job with the World Junior team is a big goal of yours this year?
Yeah, of course. That's always something that you want to achieve. And I think last year we had 3 great goalies, and we all battled really hard for that starting job. And I'm excited to have the opportunity to go back and work towards potentially leading in the United States to another gold medal.
Your season ended, I guess, in mid-March. Unlike Bracco, who had been playing really into May. What have you done to stay sharp since that time?
Well, honestly, right after the season ended, I think taking time off the ice is a big thing, especially for goalies. You know, it's a lot of pressure on your joints and things like that, especially during the season. And with World Juniors not getting any time off, but I think at Boston College they have a great training program. So I've been in the weight room a lot, trying to build some more strength, looking towards next season, and then starting to ramp up, getting on the ice, sitting up to camp, and then later on in the season.
How did you become a goaltender? I apologize. You've been asked that before. Like when you were young, like how did it all start for you?
So I think like most kids, they're always kind of attracted to the equipment, and that's really that's probably the story.
Right.
So I started as a forward, and when I was playing, it was probably even mini mites or before. I always wanted to sub in as goalie. We took turns playing goalie, and every time I got the chance, I tried to hop in there. So I had a little bit of a background of playing goalie, and then one summer came around. There's a team in St. Louis called STL Elite, and they traveled to Michigan, I believe, in Toronto to play. And my mom asked me, "What do you want to try out as, like a forward or a defenseman?" I said goalie. I ended up making it as an alternate, and then I kind of stuck with it from there, and here I am today. So
being from St. Louis, was there any looking up to someone like Ben Bishop in that spot, given what he accomplished in his career? Being from there, there's not a lot of St. Louis.
Yeah, not a ton, but I think St. Louis is becoming a really big hockey market now.
Yeah.
You look at goalies, defensemen, and forwards, especially this draft and the last, and even next year. There's a lot of good St. Louis players that are coming out of St. Louis. But it's becoming a great place, and I think growing up I had a lot of good resources, coaches coming back from the NHL like Jeff Brown and Al McInnes and Keith Tkachuk, and my longtime goalie coach Bruce Racine all played in the NHL, and they come back and they help these younger players. So I think even looking up to those people and aspiring to be an NHL player, and again Ben Bishop, went to high school right down the street from me. So just having those people in St. Louis.
Who were some of the goalies that you admired watching play in the NHL as you were growing up?
I think the biggest goalie that I've looked up to is probably Carey Price.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an easy answer for goalies around the world. So I think I've always loved watching Carey Price and how he handles the game from technical and athletic point. And then even watching Frederick Anderson in Toronto this year, I think he's really proving himself as one of the best goalies in the NHL.
Would you say that your game is similar? I mean, not to compare yourself to those two guys, but in terms of style, being technically sound, is that the type of game that you try to play? More of a percentages game, so to speak?
I tried to find kind of the happy medium of playing the technical aspect, but then every goalie is going to need athleticism, and to play in the NHL, you're going to have that side. So I think watching people like Anderson and Price and those type of guys, they do a great job of balancing that. So it's something that I can watch video on them and look up to them and try to take parts of their game.
Well, and those two guys play in really hard to play hockey markets, and you're playing in a hard to play like university or college program. Is poise another thing that attracted you to them, and just kind of dealing with everything and staying even keel and not getting too beaten up over one bad goal or one bad game or anything like that, to have a consistent body of work?
For sure. I think playing in Montreal and Toronto, those are two tough markets to play in, but if you look at those guys and how their career, more so Carey Price, just because he's been in Montreal, I think, and how he's handled his ups and downs, and I think that's something you have to really look at and look up to. And I think having the experience of playing in the World Juniors and playing in a big market, and really focusing on your game and as much as you can, blocking out all the outside noise.